Well, do I have some surprising news? Possibly. I want to tell you how this year is starting out in the Orange County real estate market. Welcome to the show. This is Dean Odell with 7 Gables Real Estate and the Odell Group. And it is time to look at some Orange County housing data today. We're going to start with Orange County and then we're going to specifically narrow into the Tustin market at the end. We got all the data, so let's talk about what's going on. Okay, so let's start with the active listing inventory year over year. So if we look at where we are right now, we're all the way to the left. That's the purple line. And look at how we have started this year. Just a absolute explosion of inventory. At least that's what it looks like from the incline, but still the numbers are low, right? So right now we are sitting at 1,900 homes. 2 weeks ago, we were at 1,785. But what is encouraging is you can see it is a quick start. It's gone from much lower to maybe not much higher, but certainly higher, right? And I like the angle. Let's hope that that continues into the year and we can get some inventory on this market. Last year, if you look, we had 2,536 homes, but the 3-year average prior to COVID was 4,739. So if you look at where we are now with only 1,900 homes, I mean, wow, we are really low on inventory, even with the good start. So looking at demand year over year, again, that light blue line is where we ended. You could see how it dove towards the end of the year. And now we are at the purple line. And does that purple line look very familiar? It looks like it's about the same angle as the active listing inventory, right? So we now have 1,010 homes we've put into escrow over the last 30 days, which we know has been mostly January at this point. 2 weeks ago, we were at 861, and last year we were at 939. So look at that. We actually are off to a quicker start than last year. We're ahead of those numbers from last year. Now, if we look at the 3-year average prior to COVID, we had 1,710, right? But here's the thing. We know that we do not have that much inventory right now per the last slide, where the 3-year average of inventory to choose from was 4,700 homes before. So we just don't have that right now. So the fact that we're still selling percentage-wise most of the listings that are basically coming on the market, right? I mean, you have 1,900 homes that have been on the market. And then when you look at 1,010 of those going in, and they might not be the exact homes, there might be some leftover inventory there, but it's a pretty good absorption rate, right? Better than 50% of the homes are being absorbed in that first 30 days. So the next slide we're going to look at is the Orange County expected marketing time year over year. And right now you can see we're at 56 homes, a little bit faster than 2 weeks ago at 62, certainly a lot faster than last year at 81. And we know prior to COVID, we were closer to 86. So if you plug that 56 into the legend there at the top, you'll see that 56 days is less than 60, which equates to a hot seller's market. But as always, we want to see how that breaks down by price range. So let's take a look at the next chart. Okay, so here we go. Looks pretty similar to what our last data chart showed. Anything under 1.5 million is still in the seller's favor. It's a hot seller's market. You can see what the current inventory is relative to the demand. If we take that 1 million to 1.25, you can see that it's 9% of the inventory, but 13% of the demand. Last year, that was taking 72 days to get sold. This year, it's only taken 41 days, right? So you can do that all the way down by price range. What you'll notice when you get to the $2 to $4 million range, we are so close to a balanced market at 89 days in that, right? 90 days is the low end of a balanced market. We'll have to keep our eye on that price range, but if you bounce back over that to 4 million and above, and also 6 million above, you can see those are getting into some deep buyers market. And this is kind of what I like to look at and keep my eye on, because what happens is when the high end slows down, the buyers are going to have more negotiating power. And ultimately what happens is sellers have to reduce their prices in that price range, which will slowly move and put downward pressure on all the prices underneath it as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the special slide for this week, which is the Orange County winter market. So last year, if we looked at what happened, there was an inventory actually negative. It didn't even rise. It went down 15%, right? From mid-January to mid-March, which is really unusual because as you can see, the 3-year average, we're normally going up, right? We're actually net having more inventory for the buyers to choose from mid-January to mid-March. Last year, that did not happen. We actually had a negative. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out this year up until about mid-March. Looking at the demand rise now, that is what happened from January to mid-March last year. You could see that the demand went up 67% in that time frame, where the 3-year average was only 47%. So that's a big surge in demand that happened last year. So we're going to have to compare that with what happens this year. And then what happened in terms of expected marketing time because of that surge in demand last year, it actually got 39 days faster. It was 39 days faster by the time you got to the end of March versus mid-January, right? Where the 3-year average was about 23 days faster. So we're going to gauge this all to what's happening to the market this year. And let me tell you what we've seen boots on the ground so far in January, coming up in the next section where I give you guys some advice. Okay, so that was our teaser, right? Because actually, we got to talk about the Tustin data. We're going to talk about that other stuff after this. So if we look at the Tustin data, we are looking at December 2023 versus 2022. So year over year comparisons. And you can see how the different zip codes break down. We've got 92705, 92780, and 92782, which includes Tustin Ranch and Tustin Legacy. I would encourage you guys to look through those and see what you can take from that. One thing I've noticed by looking at this is the months of inventory overall has decreased in all 3 zip codes based on the speed of the market, based on how many houses are going into escrow every month. Each one of these zip codes actually has less inventory from a monthly inventory perspective. So that's kind of interesting. The average active price, looking at that is also interesting because if you look at 92782, they're at 2.56 million versus 1.75. That is quite the jump in average price. But then when you look at their average sold price, the sold price is down to 1.38 from 1.74. So what that tells me is you've got people listing higher priced homes, but yet the lower priced homes are selling, right? So if you look at the other zip codes, you can see how that works within those zip codes. 92780 is actually pretty tight comparison wise to what's going on in the other 2 zip codes. If you look at that final list price to sales price, very tight, right? If you look at the original list price to sold price, that becomes interesting because what North Tustin's showing there at such a lower number, 94 versus 93, is what they're showing is that originally when these houses are coming on the market in North Tustin, they're coming on too high and they have to reduce. And once they reduce, they're getting 99%. The next column up, final sales price, are getting 99% of their final asking price, but only 94% of their original price, right? So that's an average of about a 5% price reduction. Average days on the market, you could see that has gone down. We talked about the speed of the market in a previous slide there, and so that is confirming that. Okay, so we're going to move on now to our advice, and we're going to tell you what we're seeing here. Okay, so let me tell you what we are experiencing with the boots on the ground. Okay, this week was just like those charts showed. It was a big increase in activity. We start going from the 2nd week of January to 3rd week of January. Big difference. Now we also put a property on the market, put it on at $1,375,000, and we knew we were pricing it well. We were pricing it for multiple offers. We didn't know exactly what the reaction was going to be because it's a tricky time of year, but we knew that our process would allow us to get market value. It's just being patient. We got a certain way to do that once we have multiple offers. So that process yielded 15 offers on this property so far, and we're going to be negotiating those out here this week, but it's going to end up going quite a bit over asking price, which was very, very encouraging, quite honestly, to see the amount of buyers that were out there. We had 2 open houses over the weekend. There were literally, I'm not kidding, 100 people on Saturday and 100 people on Sunday. And by the way, it was raining this weekend. So, the difference between, say, December and January was dramatic in terms of buyer traffic and buyer activity. And like I said, at the beginning of the year, we just really never know which way it's going to go. So that's good news for you sellers because the buyers are out. They're anxious. They've been waiting since maybe last October. They shut things down for the holidays, and now they're coming out in droves and they want houses. And guess what? There isn't many of them. So we have a couple of houses that we're prepping right now. We'd love to prep yours, get it ready for the spring market, get that thing sold, and I guarantee you're going to be happy with the results. Now, buyers, I know none of this is good news to you. The only good news for you guys is that rates have dropped 1.5%. So if you're buying right now, you don't want to buy just out of like, hey, fear of missing out. You want to buy because you want that house for a long time, because the chances of it possibly going down in value are probably pretty good. We still have to go through the presidential election, which probably is going to keep the market fairly good. And then we're going to have to see where we are at that time. But boy, are we due some sort of correction or recession, right? We know that there's only 18% of you guys out there that can afford a medium priced home. So that is not the dynamic of a healthy market. And there's going to have to be some sort of correction to that. When it's going to come, it's hard to say. So anyway, hang in there, go after the house that you want, but just make sure you're going to be there a while. All right. One more thing I want to say is we reached out to a lot of our past clients and people and just wanted to remind people that even though we have a Tustin version of this, we are all Orange County, and more than half of our sales are outside of the Tustin areas. And yes, we sell a lot of higher priced homes, but we sell all price ranges. And well, the community responded to that. And last week, believe it or not, we got calls that we're listing 4 condominiums. And those condominiums are going to be all over the place, quite honestly, throughout Orange County. But if there's some parents out there watching or some new buyers and you guys are looking for the opportunity to get into the market, this could be your opportunity. So give us a call and we can let you know what's happening there. So that's going to do it for this Tustin Talks. And if you just heard my watch, that's probably not the first time it's dinging. People need me. Okay, and I hope you guys need us too. Go ahead and like and subscribe to this though before you leave, please, and it will show up, and we will see you on the next Tustin Talks, where we will continue to give you the latest on the Orange County housing market. See you then. Bye-bye.